Waivers, you say? As in waiving a team's right to a player? Like the world around us, waivers have changed. Before 2019, there was an additional waiver trade deadline on August 31st. After the July 31st deadline, teams could place players on waivers. If that player cleared waivers, he could be traded. If the player was claimed, the original team could let the claim go through, work out a trade with the claiming team, or pull the player back from waivers. Then, baseball made a major change to its player transaction rules entering the 2019 season. Now, once the July 31st trading deadline passes, players cannot be traded after that. Teams can still use waivers to release players, but not to trade them. Clubs cannot trade players on waivers, they can only be claimed. And this is how the Giants got Cody Ross from the Marlins, who turned out to be the 2010 NLCS MVP. On August 16, 1990, Pittsburgh would send Moises Alou to the Montreal Expos, completing an August 8th trade in which the Pirates dealt Willie Green, Scott Bruskin, and a player to be named later, which became Alou for Zane Smith. Pittsburgh was in a pennant race and desperate for another starting pitcher to drop into the rotation behind ace Doug Drabek. Zane Smith was brilliant, going 6-2 with a 1.30 ERA with 3 complete games and 2 shutouts. Alou, meanwhile, batted .200 north of the border in 14 games to finish the 1990 season. Though they would lose to Cincinnati in the NLCS, the Pirates saw enough out of Smith to bestow him with a 4-year contract in free agency. Later in the month, on August 29, 1990, the defending champion Oakland A's fortified their lineup by trading for future Hall of Famer Harold Baines from Texas and Willie McGee from St. Louis after each cleared waivers. Though we spent the last month of the season in the American League, McGee had already reached the minimum number of plate appearances needed to qualify for the National League batting title. His overall average for the season was .324, 6th best in baseball, but his .335 NL average stood as the league's best. So he was awarded the National League batting title while playing in the American League. The mother of all waiver trades occurred the next day, on August 30th, 1990. The Red Sox, looking to shore up their bullpen that had lost closer Jeff Reardon to surgery, and in a push for the playoffs, dealt 21-year-old Jeff Bagwell to the Astros for 37-year-old reliever Larry Anderson. Bagwell, playing third base the previous year in the Florida State League, hit 2 homers. The year of the trade, the following season, he led the Eastern League with 160 hits in 136 games, but only generated 4 home runs at a power position. Additionally, he was blocked in Boston by Wade Boggs and the emerging Scott Cooper. Anderson pitched well, a 1.23 ERA in 15 games, and the Sox made the playoffs. Then Anderson had a 6 ERA in 3 appearances. Boston was eliminated, and he left the Sox in free agency for San Diego. As for Bagwell, he would move across the diamond from third base to first, and he would begin his Hall of Fame career by winning National League Rookie of the Year honors in 1991, MVP honors 3 years later, and hit 449 home runs. Toronto had a huge hole in left field in August 1991 when they acquired Candy Maldonado from Milwaukee. He hit .277 with 7 homers and 28 RBIs the rest of the season. It was an under-the-radar deal, but one that helped the Jays build their first championship club the following year when Maldonado would bat .272 with 20 homers. In a 1992 starting rotation that already featured Jack Morris, Jimmy Key, Juan Guzman, and Todd Stottlemyre, the Blue Jays added pending free agent David Cone from the Mets. To get him, Toronto parted with second baseman Jeff Kent and promising outfielder Ryan Thompson. It would be many years before Kent would emerge as one of the game's most potent power hitters, while Thompson never lived up to his billing. Cone, meanwhile, went 4-3 in 7 starts with a 2.55 ERA, averaging 8 strikeouts per 9 innings. The Jays would win the first of 2 consecutive World Series, while Cone would leave in free agency to return to his hometown Kansas City Royals in December 1992, the team that originally drafted him. Also in '92, it was power for power, as Oakland, in a stunning move during a pennant race, traded Jose Canseco to Texas for Ruben Sierra, starter Bobby Witt, and reliever Jeff Russell. Canseco would bat just .233 with 4 homers in the Texas Heat. Sierra hit .277 with 3 homers and 17 RBIs on the West Coast, while Witt and Russell pitched well. Thanks in part to this trade, the A's made the playoffs but were eliminated by the eventual World Series champion Blue Jays in the ALCS. In 1996, with a glaring hole at third base and overabundance of outfielders, Cleveland traded Jeremy Burnitz to Milwaukee for Kevin Seitzer, who would bat .386 with 16 runs batted in for Cleveland. Burnitz, after batting just .236 with 2 homers after the deal, became quite a find for the Brewers, posting a .281 average with 27 homers and 85 RBIs the following year, and would become a staple in Milwaukee with 165 homers in 6 seasons. At the end of the 2000 season and out of contention, the Angels made a pair of under-the-radar moves that would pay off immensely just 2 years later when the team won its first World Series. First, they selected shortstop David Eckstein off waivers from Boston. He would become their starter the following season, hitting .285 with 29 stolen bases as the team's leadoff hitter, and finished 4th in American League Rookie of the Year voting. He would be even better as a catalyst in that championship 2002 season, hitting .293 with 63 RBIs and 21 stolen bases. The Angels went back to the waiver wire 2 weeks after snaring Eckstein to claim reliever Ben Weber from the Giants. He would become their leading setup man, appearing in an average of 60 games over the next 3 seasons. In 2001, St. Louis traded outfielder Ray Lankford, now 34 years old, to San Diego for starting pitcher Woody Williams. After the trade, Lankford would bat .288 with 4 homers and 19 RBIs. Williams, though, would go 7-1 with a 2.28 ERA and help lead the Cards to the playoffs. In his lone start against eventual champion Arizona, he gave up only 1 run in 7 innings and would become a stalwart in the Cardinals' rotation, going 45-22 in his 4 years with the team, including an 18-9 season in 2003. In 2003, after 4 outstanding seasons in Pittsburgh, the Pirates decided Brian Giles' time was up, even though he had at least 30 homers and 90-plus runs batted in each of his first 4 seasons while batting .309. In return, the Buccos acquired outfield prospect Jason Bay, pitcher Oliver Perez, and another player. Giles joined a powerful Padres lineup including Ryan Klesko and Phil Nevin, and batted .298 with 4 homers and 18 RBIs after the trade. Bay hit .291 with 3 homers and 12 RBIs and would be named National League Rookie of the Year the following season after hitting 26 home runs with 82 runs batted in. But it was Perez that initially tilted the deal Pittsburgh's way. In 2004, he showed the makings of a future ace, winning 12 games and striking out an astounding 239 batters in 196 innings. But he would never come close to domination like that again. After the trade deadline in 2004, and having played just 38 games due to injury, Larry Walker was traded by Colorado for 3 players you may never have heard of. Walker would fortify a trio of 330-homer, 100 RBI guys in Albert Pujols, Jim Edmonds, and Scott Rowland, and complementary players like Reggie Sanders and Edgar Renteria. He would continue his power stroke in St. Louis, batting .280 with 11 homers and 27 RBIs, and drive in another 11 in the postseason that ended with a National League pennant, but a World Series defeat to the historic Boston Red Sox. In a prime example example of how high-profile players could change teams after the official trade deadline. On August 31st, 2017, Detroit sent Justin Verlander to Houston to gain salary relief, especially since its playoff hopes became remote, and the Astros saw an opportunity to bolster its roster for a playoff push. There, Verlander went 5-0 with a 1.06 ERA and helped the Astros to their first World Championship.